Now, the Nigerian police is not relenting in its war against kidnapping, and recently the police made a bust of one of the most vicious kidnap for ransom gang.
Well, the gang led by 120-year-old Ibrahim Umar, who confessed to sucking the blood of his victims after killing them, was paraded among 16 others before members of the Sabon-Wuse community of Niger State. Sifon Essien reports.
Ibrahim Umar is the 20-year-old leader of a kidnap for ransom gang, whom the police describe as the most vicious gang in recent times. He and his gang were among others apprehended by the police in their hideout in the bushes along the Abuja-Kaduna highway days after the Christmas.
Showcasing before you today some of the achievements recorded by the Nigerian police force in the area of fighting and prevention of violent crimes such as kidnapping, armed robbery, cattle rustling, and the like. It is important to underscore that the Inspector General of Police, IGP Ibrahim Putu Idris, MNI, roll out security arrangements for the Christmas festivity and the New Year celebration. And this arrangement has been yielding positive results because across the country, Christmas and the New Year celebration was celebrated in peace. We have successes recorded in arresting, especially those who we are parading today, those criminal elements, those kidnappers, vicious kidnapping for ransom gang, who lay ambush for people returning from Christmas holiday. 3 victims were rescued from them.
Like the proverbial vampire, Umar, also known as Oro, confessed to sucking the blood of his victims after killing them, particularly when ransom is not paid.
I have
killed at least 10 persons. I don't spare my victims. Anyone who dares me, I kill them. And if they fail to pay ransom for any of my victims, I personally kill them and make sure I drink their blood. All my gang members are loyal to me. No one dares question my authority. We are all in the bush.
With glee, Umar and his lieutenant showcased their dexterity in stripping and assembling rifles. He and his gang fabricated this rifle locally. One of their victims, who was surprisingly released, narrates his ordeal. Take again, he asks us to conceal his identity.
They kidnapped my elder brother and demanded a ransom of 5 million naira. I told them I did not have such amount of money, so we negotiated and agreed for 350,000. They told me how to get the money down to them in the bush. When I got there, Umar carried me on a motorcycle, and after an encounter with other gang members, he told me I had been kidnapped. He collected the 350,000 naira, but did not release my brother, and demanded 5 million naira to secure my own freedom. I pleaded with him, and miraculously, he released me.
Umar confessed that there are many gangs operating in the bushes from Abuja to Kaduna. Their stock in trade range from armed robbery to kidnapping. The police say the suspects will be charged to court. Sifon Essien, TVC News, Sabon-Wuse.
Well, the Director General of the International Institute of Professional Security, Tony Ofoyeto, is in the studio with us to talk more about this. Thank you for joining us and Happy New Year.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
I saw you nodding your head when you were watching the report from our
I'm
correspondent.
just heartbroken. You know, when you have a 20-year-old dexterously operating what ordinarily is seen as you know, an exclusive weapons of the military and security agencies, and you also see this young man not being remorseful, even smiling, proudly telling Nigerians that I've killed as much as 10. And I've sucked their blood, you know, it's so heartbreaking in a country like this. But to me, I think that I'm not trying to teach the police their job, but I think I was expecting that they would have learned from the case of Evans and would have stopped this media approach towards security issues. It doesn't help matters. One, you have not concluded your investigation. You have not done proper intelligence networking. And now you have showcased this young man before the world. And the young man had told you that there are several gangs right in the bushes. And the same gang are also aware of what had happened. Now it has impeded on your ability to get the best of all results. I expected that before things like this will be showcased to the press, it will just be a day before they are being arraigned. In other words, you have done all the needful. Clandestinely, secretly, with the height of intelligence. Because as it is now, you will not be so shocked if one big man somewhere, somehow, is trying to say that he is my brother, he is my nephew, he is my cousin. Don't be too sure. These boys are not just into kidnapping and the like. They also have the advantage of some people somewhere that have some level of influence. Something like that too. Some level of influence. And these are things that I expected that the police ought to have learned from. So if you ask me, I'm not too excited about what I saw. Not too excited. You know, I was looking at a situation. If you look at those young boys, if you look at their demeanor is so unrepentant. So unrepentant. He was
smiling.
No remorse.
Even pointing the gun at
now we heard the
people
police.
there.
We heard the police spokesman there said he was referring to the arrest of these young guys as an achievement of the police. I wonder if doing your duty is an achievement. What do you see from that perspective?
Well, in the Nigerian perspective, it becomes an achievement because many at times they go uncaught. And once in a while, if you have 100 of kidnapping and out of those 100, 80 were able to pay ransom, 10 became victim, then you are able to maybe apprehend 5 out of that, then 5 out of sheer luck escape. Then those 5 you celebrate. 5 all over 100 becomes a major celebration, basically because you want to tell you and I that, okay, we are working. No, I'm not saying that the police is not working. Like in Lagos State, for example, if you ask me to score, I will score Lagos State Security Agency 90. Yes, I will, because it is my profession. And I know what is obtainable in Lagos State. I may not be too sayist about other states of the country, but in Lagos State, kidnapping has been reduced to the barest minimum. And in most cases, if you have especially kidnapping for ransom, if you have issues like that, within a twinkle of, they may pay you the ransom, you will not live to spend the ransom. It's a recurring decimal in Lagos State. And even the kidnappers, they have come to terms with the fact that Lagos State is not a safe place. And why? Because they've been able to apply. You look at Lagos State, they don't make a noise about the issue of we have arrested one person on news, all those things like that. You remember they kidnapped traditional rulers. We did hear, the next thing we heard was that they were released. That's all you will hear. You know, I think that they should really begin to learn some of these things. Secrecy is golden when it comes to intelligence. All right,
using Lagos as a test case now, of course we know that Lagos State government is supporting the Nigerian police in the states. So
yes, it is.
You know, giving them funds and all that, donating to them. So would you say that there is need for other state governments to do same? Because we know that the police is underfunded. And we've seen on so many occasions that if the officials of the force want to work, they do, and they bring results. So if they get enough support, which they're not getting from the federal government, from state government, will they perform better?
Is that with due respect to some of the governors, there's high level of financial greed. You talk about a security vote. Security vote is not meant for you. Security vote is meant for the word security. And the question is, how many of those governors are really judiciously using that security vote? Rather, many of them, what they use is to use it to pacify area boys so that they can vote for them during the next election. you know, and the rest they pocket it because EFCC is not going to ask questions about security votes. So they pocket the rest. And at the end of the day, the result is boomeranging. Why? Because these are some of the things you see. You see high level of increase in robbery, increase of kidnapping, assassination, herdsmen attack, and all those stuff like that. Now, those are the boomeranging effect. Now, if we take a clue for what is happening in Lagos State, to me, if you look at the investment they are investing in security, it goes beyond the so-called security vote. Because if you look at the Lagos State Security Trust Fund, the billions of naira that comes from that trust fund to security agency, people, look, you will be ready to work if you have the tools to work.
Because Lagosians are seeing
yes,
this.
if you have the tools to work, you'll be ready to work. Lagos State is one of the safest metropolitan cities in the world. Why I say so is because if you look at the numerical strength of Lagos State, and if you look at the diversities in Lagos State, if you look at the various ethnic groups and ethnic interest in Lagos State, now you will discover that compared with some other states in even America, you know, where you have avalanche of security breaches every now and then, you will discover that Lagos State is relatively safe. We expect that some other states will take a clue for it. It's not just only money. Money plays a major role, but the will of the power, the government in power, the will of the government in power to be able to do what? Because the little resources you have in terms of security, if you are able to judiciously distribute it among security agencies and give them a matching order, and the one that is failing, you say, look, my friend, I can't work with you. It's either IGP remove you from this state or you are rendered redundant. You will discover that they will work. Money is one thing. The determination of the government in power, especially state government now, to be able to say, look, I don't want this type of crime in my state. If you do that, Commissioner of Police, please, I will not be able to work with you. Or the FOC or whichever, or the civil defense commandants and all the head of security agencies and parastatals and all those stuff like that. If the government is able to put all of them together and not just come to say we are sharing a monthly allocation, all of you take X and Z amount of money and go, whether the boys are happy or not. No, but something that will go down to the boys. Yeah. If it goes down to the boys, yes, down to the boys, I will tell you that because it is the boys on the field that are exposed to the danger. True. And when they are exposed to the danger and there's no incentive, nothing to encourage them, look, they will leave you on top there and they will do whatever they wish to do. And that will become another thing entirely.
All right, we heard from those guys who were caught there, and they said, the 20-year-old one, they said that there are still gangs in the bushes between Abuja and Kaduna
Expressway.
That route has become very notorious for kidnappers and robbery, as the case may be. We remember the Benin or Lagos route decades ago used to be very notorious, but that area is cleared now. But I wonder what is making the Abuja Kaduna route very notorious for kidnapping.
No, when you have less concentration of security, don't forget that what the criminal try to exploit is vulnerability. When you talk in terms of vulnerability now, you are looking at the weak aspect of security and the tendency. When you have a higher tendency of escape and success, there's the most probable attempt that you will want to exploit those areas, and that is what is happening within those axes now. And of course, you see, because there has also been a lot of politicizing of security within those axes, it's also not a happy matter. We expect that the security agency will come all out. I believe in one concept in security, and that is putting the criminals on their toe. Don't immediately the criminal put you on the defense. You are at a disadvantage. Now, what is happening inside the bush, inside the forest, and all those stuff like that, in modern technology, where you talk about drone, it should have been, these are things that should ordinarily have been easily settled. Because with drone, you can even do an area surveillance without asking the Air Force with the helicopter and all those stuff.
And that's what we've seen, that our security agencies have not really utilized the opportunities given by technology.
There are avalanche of opportunities in technology that the security agencies are not, and the next thing you hear is there is no money. There is no money. But every year the federal government is voting billions of naira into those agencies. If you remove salary, what happened to the rest? What happened to the rest? And these are things that we should begin, these are questions we should begin to ask. It's not enough to say that security agencies, their money are not proven, they are not subject to all those scrutiny and all those. It's not true. It's not true that their money are not subject to.
But do they get their annual funds paid 100%? Because from what we've seen in the 2017 implementation so far, we hear that they've paid the police maybe 30% of annual budget and all that.
It's a national problem. The 30% that you were paid, if you judiciously use it, we will see the result. If out of that 30%, your salary or your recurrent is 20%, the 10% that is remaining, did you use it to buy gun? Did you use it to buy bullets? What technology did you? Out of the 30% you are talking about, you are still hearing high level of corruption. You are still hearing high level of embezzlement. How possible is it?
All right, moving forward now, the police, certainly, like everyone has agreed, we can't invite soldiers for internal security and so on, even though we do sometimes. But the police is charged with the primary responsibility of that. How can we make Nigerian police be more responsive and be more responsible when it comes to kicking against or curbing kidnapping in Nigeria?
I think one of the ways is let the police, especially the mobile police, work with the military in terms of training, operational training. I don't believe that the soldiers or the army should actually be involved in military, in internal. Yes, just like you have the civil defense being trained by the soldiers, and you will see that the approach of the civil defense in internal security is different.
It's different.
It's different. Why? Because they were trained by the soldiers. I expect that the police should be humble enough to admit that, look, when you talked about professionalism, these people are better in that area. You may be better in some other area. Why don't you allow these people to train the mobile police in terms of, this operational aspect of it, so that we know that, okay, these people are well trained and they are as good as the military when it comes to operation like this. With that, those problems will be solved.
Would it be the decision of the police or the federal government?
It is the decision of the police, because there is what we call interagency pride and pomposity. Yes, it is the decision.
Especially between those two.
Yes, yes, it is the decision of the police to say that, look, we know where. Look, if you look at it from this angle, if you get to a T-junction and you are, at that point, you are confused, and the next thing you are talking about is joint operation, you are inviting the military to come and help you. That simply means that you know that you are weak in certain area. Why don't you raise some group of people and say, train these people, so that we don't need to call you for joint operation?
Exactly. All right, we have to leave you here now. Tony Ofoyeton, Director General, International Institute of Professional Security. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.